Hi everyone, this is Digital Lady Sid. Today I'm just going to run through some of the steps that I use to create this image. I am doing a blog on using Topaz plugins creatively, and I like to include the Topaz Studio Impression and the AI Remix, which is their brand new one, and Topaz Restyle, and I also like the FX Labs Instatone. So I thought I'd whip through a couple of these things real quick if I can. Alright, so what I wanted to show you is the final, and this is how the real picture started out. This is a free image that I got, and I have the link in my blog if you would like to get them. It's a package of 20 of the Seychelles, and I use it a lot to practice with, but in this case I like the results so much I went ahead and I decided to keep the image for my blog. So this is what the result was after I came out of Topaz Studio. I will go in there. First, I always duplicate the layer before I go into Topaz Studio. And then what we're going to do is we will go into the filter down here, and I will just show you real quick what I do on this because it's simple and it's got a kind of a nice little tip I learned listening to one of their webinars about instead of always having to apply presets and having to copy and add a preset when you wanted to add another effect in, what you can do is use the drop down menu. So let's first start with impression, which is my favorite. This is where I always go to load them in. I love this basic default impression. It's always been my favorite, and usually I change over to type 09, although I try all different kinds of brushes in it. That's a lot of times the only thing I change. I really like the results. So I'm just going to leave that like it is, and then we're going to add that new AI remix onto it. And once again, I like to combine the impression and the remix a lot. You get some really good results that way, and since those are two really creative plugins that I don't know anybody else who makes anything as good as impression, and the remix is just totally creative. So it's two great products from Topaz, which you just don't see in the other areas. If you look in the default down here, you get a few defaults in there, oil paints and different things come up. You can see you get some really ugly looks here. You cannot use remix at 100%, or very rarely would you. But I use I created one called SJ Painterly Effect, and I have the settings in my blog, and I'll tell you what they are as we go along here. But you can see that's the swatch I used, and you can see that the opacity is only at 0.27, so it's not a whole lot. And then these are all the settings I used. I'm going to say OK, and like I said, the settings are all listed in my blog, and I'll give you a link to that at the bottom of my YouTube. So this is the result you get, which is about the same as I had there. Okay, this is a group of layers that I used to clean up this image, and there's a lot of painting in there because I didn't like a lot of the rough edges and everything I was getting, and you could see I didn't use them. So I used like mixer brushes in the sky, and I used some things to smooth out, some things to make the water rougher, all kinds of things. And when I turn that on, you can see what a difference that made, just those layers. Then my next step was to go into Nik by Visa 2, open that up, and what you see is, okay, Nik, here we go. Maybe I won't open it up. There it goes, I didn't double click. Okay, you gotta say okay, use an F to get full screen for this, and you can see all the control points I have. I used several in this image. And if you look at a control point, like let's look at this rock here, you can tell that it's got like a large brightness, and the settings are all over here. So whatever one is lighted up over here, your settings are up above. I just love this program. Absolutely love this program. And I know it's not Topaz, but you know, it's always one of my final steps when I finish up a picture because it can just draw your eye right in where you want it. And I've gotten, I mean, it's old and I just have used it for years. So it's to me a class of its own on a certain level, but different from, of course, these Topaz creative plugins. This is more for finalizing your image, but you can see their structure, and I love this structure. You can make something real soft or real sharp by adjusting that. So that's what I did there. And then I have just cleanup ones. And I did use a spot healing brush, and every time I use this thing I seem to freeze up my computer right now. So I'll show you the settings that I used and where I used them, but I'm not going to use it. And I just did big broad strokes like this, and I was able to get rid of some of this. If you look closely, you can still see there's some little bit of artifacting that came out with this image. I have no idea why, but I got artifacting in it right in these stone areas and the darker colors. If I used the spot healing brush set to multiply, it will take out the white spots and just fill in with color, and that's what I did on that. So that worked out real good. I added a spotlight effect just to brighten up the whole image, and I did just the regular finishing things here. This is a varnish impasto layer. I did a couple impasto layers. It's really subtle. You'll have to look close to see. And I am not sure that I got these from John Derry, and I don't believe he does them anymore. I'm not sure they're still available. See, you can see some more impasto when I used a texture effect from French Kiss on top of it at a real low opacity. I think I have that at like this one is at 22% fill. So these are both of these are impasto levels, and what you're going to get are bevel and emboss settings here. And this is how this one I was using, I think it was called Varnish Smooth, has a contour, has a texture, different texture there. You can get different effects by using different textures, scales, depths, all kinds of stuff. You can make your own. It's really not that hard to do, and all you do is you move your fill layer down to 0 if you want no color. You can put any texture that you have and just put it down to 0. You'll see that come up. So it's pretty interesting if you're trying to get a painterly look. And in this image I was trying to, and then that's basically all I did on this. I added a little frame that I did in Corel Painter just to make it look kind of painterly. And that was my image. Now I want to show you what it looks like differently here. And I followed the same steps up until I got to I even used the same cleanup image, and then I went into Topaz Restyle, and I got these beautiful colors by using one of the Topaz Restyle presets. Let me see what one I use. I put all my notes in here, by the way. This is how I keep track of what I've done to mine. I used one of my own personal settings in there, and I did it from an image that I had before, and I explained how to do that in my blog, so you could check that out. A little more cleanup. Vivisa again, this time Vivisa in a different area. Little dodge and burn. There I used one of my brushes. And speaking of my brushes here, these are my go-to brushes that I use here, and I just keep using them back and forth on most of the painting that I did in here. I use these, and then I have another set of go-tos and my specific brushes. So if I have clouds that I want to make, like here's all of my Groot clouds are here, which I love Groot's clouds. They're like the best. I just go to them right here. I have my favorites set up in there. I have all my landscape brushes set up in here, all different kinds. Fog brushes, grass brushes. So if I want to be creative with that. So I thought I'd show you that real quick, how I have that set up. And I always keep that open so I can adjust the angle. Normally this is over on my I have like a setup with 2 monitors so that I can just use them all the time. That is it. I use the mixer a lot. I added spotlight onto this one, and you can see what you get. But what a different look you get with this image. So I just thought I'd show you. And that's basically using the same settings in Topaz Studio. Another thing I wanted to show you real quick, if it will come up here, is I would like to show you how to, let's just clear that layer style, show you how to use Instantone. So if I go into Filter and I go down here to Topaz Labs, and this is one of their older programs, but you may have it and may not even know it's in there. You go to Photo FX Labs, and once you get into the program, you can click over to this Instantone tab, click into, like I have a photo research source area. I can click that, and look what it does to my image over here. It'll add the color tints that are in my image. These two don't work anymore, but this web search one did for me today. Here's one that they give you, a library of things. What you do if I want to apply one of these effects, let's say I want that look, I can do first I can say remember, and I can put up to 6 different things in there. So if I want that one, I can say remember that, and then I can choose between them. So I'm going to say I want that one. I say apply to layer, and it will come out, and there it is. And then I just say OK up here. I mean, there's a lot more things you can do in this, but it applies it to that layer for me, and there it is. That's the Instantone effect. So I thought you'd like to see that. Well, I better get off here, but anyway, if you want to check me out for other things, you can see my Fun Photoshop blog, which is where all the information is for this, sidspics.wordpress.com. I'll have a link below. Tidbits blog, digitalladysyd.com, and my website. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.